Hello, homeschool colleague. Today I'm going to present to you Lesson 7 of Module 1, How to Love Homeschooling Education Long Term. As you might already know, some people homeschool out of necessity and some do it because they already know they'll love homeschooling their children. If you are one of those people that are homeschooling out of necessity but are not sure if you're going to like homeschooling long term, then this lesson is for you. However, those who automatically know they're going to love homeschooling long term might also find this lesson interesting. The reason why this lesson is important is because of the children. To have a fruitful homeschool for everyone, the children have to be our focus. They don't have to take priority over other things, but we should know and be able to focus on them in the right ways. Children thrive best in a routine or a consistent lifestyle. Being disrupted by changing schools, changing friends, or changing families can be difficult for a child. A nationally recognized expert, author, and educator on relationships, family development, education, and behavior has written extensively on stress in children. She writes, "If you want to raise a child who is caring, organized, goal-oriented, and successful, you must provide a stable environment in which he can experience a childhood filled with both love and bonding experiences. A well-bonded child is secure and does better at everything. When a child is stressed from consistent poverty, abuse, divorce, or insecurity, he overproduces the stress hormone cortisol. Overproducing cortisol can have not only a neurological impact on your child's brain, but also his body. Therefore, stress can be a central cause for both emotional and physical illness, impacting your child's overall health, school attendance, and school performance." Now that's a great quote from Dr. Gail Gross. I want to further highlight the emotional stability of a child because most of us who homeschool are more than likely already providing a stable home life. Even in a stable home, parents' own behavior can cause stress in a child's mind. This is where I go back to a previous lesson on nurturing your child. Being supportive, attentive, and positive parents can be a great source in helping your children thrive. If you are prone to anger, easily irritated, or quick to being frustrated, take time to plan ahead what you will do in those situations. Practice and act out what your response should be, and over time, you can train your mind to create that homeschool environment that fosters stability in yourself and in your home. This learned skill can also be helpful to your children when they might need to learn how to manage their own behavior. Now I want to talk about the 3 factors that help you love homeschool education long term. Factor number 1 I call lifestyle flexibility. Create the environment you want. Homeschool education is the perfect way to provide a flexible homeschool schedule. Try not to create a school-like atmosphere when you start homeschooling, unless you want to, of course. If you are homeschooling your 4 or 5-year-old, and this is your first experience homeschooling, ask your child for their input as to the schedule and setup of your homeschool. This will help them buy into it and give them ownership of their education. They may want to ride their bike for 2 hours or read 10 picture books every day. If you are starting to homeschool an older child who has already been to a traditional school, they might have a different view on things, and it might change or evolve over time. So work with that child to create a schedule that works for both of you. Additionally, you might have a child that doesn't have much input at all. In that case, be ready with ideas and choices. Think about the things you definitely want them to do and learn, and the things you like to teach and do. Your home is a blank canvas, and you and your children can make it whatever you want. Make time for focused academics, interest-based activities, domestic duties, and concentrated play. Another aspect you should consider is the parent's work schedule. You might have both parents working, one parent working part-time, or parents who work from home. The options are unlimited. There's no standard schedule that works for everyone. Homeschooling is flexible and can work in any situation as long as the parents are there to help the children. As a parent, focus on your family goals and big picture. Don't sweat the daily details. Daily habits and small victories over time can go a long way. If you push too much or too long, the consequences may be far from what you dreamed of in your goals. The bottom line is, whatever you do, do it with all your heart and make it your goal to help your children work hard and learn as much as they can every single day. Find a routine that works for your family and in your situation. Now I'm going to talk about the second factor that will help you love homeschool education long term. That is what I call interest exploration. Develop the interest of your children to help them succeed in life. Homeschool education is the perfect way to provide a plethora of opportunities to learn new skills based on student interests. Try not to limit the exposure your children get, and don't give in to laziness. There's a fine balance between letting your child do what they want and enforcing things you know your child needs to do. Keep in mind the goals of home education from Lesson 4 in this course: the love of learning, learning for themselves, and reading well. The two key words for the idea of interest exploration that I want to further explain are discipline and passion. I will try to make a connection between the goals of home education and interest exploration. Let me explain what I mean by discipline. If a child does not learn to focus for a certain amount of time appropriate for their age, starting as young as possible on specific tasks, then it will be harder to reach the goals of home education. We all know those children who would be happy never learning how to do 3-digit multiplication, how to do a reading assignment effectively, or how to write a basic paragraph with ease, just to name a few. There are also those children who never seem to be motivated enough to keep their room clean, put their things away into their proper place, or keep their assignments nice and neat. Don't worry though, most children are not born with those skills. They must be learned, and parents can help children learn those skills and be focused enough to do them for a certain amount of time appropriate for their age. Be creative, set incentives, require loving, patient, and consistent discipline, even if it's just for 5 minutes. If they fail, try again the next day without any judgment and tell them, "One day you'll do it. I know you will." Now I will explain what I mean by passion. Every one of us is born with a unique identity. We've been given distinct physical features, internal motivations, and certain things we love to do. It's the parents' job to help children figure out what interests, gifts, and talents they have. Those interests, gifts, and talents will eventually lead to a career path and style of life. Childhood experiences are a big part of this idea. We are all born with these qualities, but the way they come together in our future largely depends on our childhood experiences. Childhood is a great way to develop the skills and disciplines needed to succeed in the passions that they have. Here's a simple way to find the ideas for the different types of interests, gifts, talents, or passions your children might have. Go to a website of any college, look at their list of degree programs, read the description of the ones that might be of interest, and research how you can help your child learn more about that job skill. Don't forget about the obvious skills like sports, music, art, computers, or the trades. Now let's bring all of this together. Let's say your child wants to learn the skills for landscape design because they love gardening and art. You give them plenty of time in their childhood to plant flowers, design the backyard, build a gazebo perhaps, and possibly help the neighbor do the same. Your child is convinced they want to go to college for that, and they graduate with honors and get hired at a design firm. Months later, they get fired. What? Fired? But they're super smart. They love what they do, but there's a problem. They're disorganized and they can't handle large projects efficiently. Now what? They don't have the discipline to change, so they get a job with a local landscaper cutting down trees. I'm not trying to put down any one career. I'm trying to get us as parents to see higher and equip ourselves to be the resource our kids need to learn what their passion is and have the character to go far in that career. If they don't want to go far, that's okay, but we need to give them a chance to go as far as they can, in case they choose to do that. If they don't have the discipline to do that, they can develop those skills later in life, but why not start them as early as possible? Remember, nurturing them through this process is the key to watching them bloom. The third factor to help you love homeschool education long term is what I call socialization redefined. Socialization is controlled by parents, not peers or the government. Homeschool education is the perfect way to socialize your child. This idea is somewhat old-fashioned for the new homeschool parent, and they may not be concerned about this at all. But I want to redefine it in our minds. It's important to be clear what our role is as homeschool educators. In Merriam-Webster's dictionary online, socialization means the process beginning during childhood by which individuals acquire the values, habits, and attitudes of a society. That is the first definition of the word. The second part of the definition has to do with the action or process of making something socialistic, conversion to collective or governmental ownership and control. In order to understand the implications of these definitions, we have to dig deeper. One is saying that socialization has to do with children acquiring the values, habits, and attitudes of a society, and the second one has to do with making something socialistic or accepting government control. Regardless of your political affinity, I think this definition is short-sighted. Let's take a deeper look at the origin of the word socialize. The origin of the word comes from the Latin word meaning companion. When you look at the definition for society, which is part of the definition for socialize, it means companionship or association with one's fellows, a voluntary association of individuals for common ends. At a deeper look into the definition, we find the root of socialization being interaction with companions with common goals. We as individuals decide who our companions are. We have that control, not the government or society. Furthermore, with the independence of homeschooling, we also decide what values, habits, and attitudes we want to develop in our children, not the government or society. Parents are the ones who have the authority to socialize their children. So what does that mean for us as parents? Each one of us has to decide the companions our children will have and the values, habits, and attitudes we want our children to develop. The best way to think about this is to start with the parent-child companionship. Decide what kind of relationship you want to have with your child and why. Make sure this will get you the end result you want. Get advice from others if you're not sure. The second type of relationship to further develop those companionship skills is their siblings. Siblings are perfect for developing common values, habits, and attitudes. If your child's social skills are not developed in the home, then their social skills outside the home will suffer, and the true goal of socialization will not be reached. If you develop those social skills at home, children will be better equipped to handle them outside the home. They don't need peers or the government forming their social skills. Let's say, for example, your child treats his or her siblings kindly, but then they meet a new friend on the playground and your child treats them in a mean way. This is normal. Relationships are complicated, but the best way to socialize your child is to help them deal with the situation according to the values you taught them at home. At home, at the right time, and with a nurturing tone, talk to your children about the circumstances and give your child several ways to handle the situation according to family values. And here's the key with that. Practice, practice, practice. Role-playing at home will help you see positive results from what you expect your child to do. Sometimes the best decision is to not associate with certain companions because they don't have the same values, habits, and attitudes. But the point I want to emphasize here is that children learn these skills from their parents, not their peers or the government. And that's it. Thanks for watching.